So hello everyone, and thank you so much for joining me. My name is Michael Smith. I'm the National Consumer Education Manager of Janome, Canada. And again, we're at the Janome Sewing and Learning Centre in Oakville, Ontario. And I'm joined by the fabulous Tanya Denier. Flip the camera around so everyone can see Tanya. She is our parts, cute, our parts, notions and accessories coordinator. Oh, that's a mouthful. All I say is she's a godsend. I'm so glad to have her help here, particularly with filming, because I've always got lots to show. So yes, today we're back for another Janome's Magical Machine Mystery Tour. And I said, ooh, what could it be? What could it be? Well, this is kind of a little hint here. I'm at this beautiful Aero sewing cutting table. It is very cool. It's got leaves on either side, and we can collapse the leaves very easily. We've got the center console here that I've got room for my bolts of fabric, or even big bins like this with all my scraps, whatever I need, all my rotary cutting supplies here. We have a Aero cutting mat that is available to go on top. So again, I could do all my cutting here, or I can also lay up my fabric sandwich in order to do my quilting. So I have here my little sample, but it could be for a whole big quilt of my backing and my batting and then my quilt top. Now, I love to use our artistic tack spray. Again, available from your Janome dealer. A little goes a long way. It's a temporary adhesive, so you could spray your batting and then put that down on your backing, and then you could spray the top layer of your batting and then put your quilt top down. If you get a little overspray, there is an artistic cleaner, which is great as well. Now, these are fantastic for when you're doing embroidery, to hoop up your fabric and then tack it down. And then again, if you get some overspray on your embroidery hoops, so this cleans it up beautifully. But I love using the artistic tack and again, a nice big surface like this to layer up my quilt sandwich, because after I get it all layered together beautifully, then what am I going to do? Oh, I'm going to go over to the fabulous Quilt Maker Pro 16. Yay! So this is our fabulous machine for our Janome's Magical Machine Mystery Tour. The Quilt Maker Pro 16 is another quilting machine alternative in the Janome line. So you can get all those UFOs done, no matter what kind of quilting you do. Either, again, big bed quilts, or you could do, table runners, placemats. A lot of people say, oh, I don't do any big bed quilts anymore. Perfect. This is perfect for wall hangings, for panels, or you could quilt up a whole bunch of fabric and then cut it up and make garments or tote bags, whatever, again, kind of quilting you want to do. So I went over, again, about 2 weeks ago, the Quilt Maker Pro 18. So if you consider that's like Barbie, that's like the big machine. So Quilt Maker Pro 16 would be like Skipper, her younger sister. So, yes. Yes, for those of you who even know what I'm talking about, of a certain generation, yes. I love Barbie and Skipper. So Quilt Maker Pro 16 is very much like Quilt Maker Pro 18, but it is a slightly smaller profile. Instead of 18-inch throat space, we have 16 inches from the needle to the back of the machine. That works out to be about 13 quiltable inches. And again, we always have to allow room for our quilt to roll up on the back bar. That's going to eat up a little bit of room. And then we have to allow for the, carriage moving to the front of the frame. So we're going to lose a little bit of space there because of that. But still, you've got about 13 quiltable inches. So lots of room to get all your quilting done very quickly. Now, you'll notice, perhaps if you can see a wide shot, this machine is sitting on a 5-foot frame. So for those who saw maybe our Quilt Maker Pro 18 episode of Janome's Magical Machine Mystery Tour, and you thought, oh, that 12-foot frame is too big, I don't have enough room. But then that Quilt Maker Pro 18 frame, again, can be 12 inches, it can be 8 foot, or sorry, it could be 12 foot, 8 foot, or 4 foot. you can adjust it that way. But if you thought, oh no, 8 feet is still too big, but 4 feet's a little small, how about 5 feet? You know, your average bathtub is 5 feet. So rip out that old tub you don't use and that extra bathroom, and then boom, you can put it in a 5-foot frame. We need about maybe 4 feet depth-wise. So it really does not take up much room. It's a very low profile. Now, it may look entirely different to you as well. If you've, again, seen our Quilt Maker Pro 18 frame, the traditional long arm frame with the roller system, the way that your quilts are loaded, this is a hoop frame. This is very much akin to the old-fashioned quilting frames. My mother actually said my great-grandmother used to have a wooden quilting frame, just like a big rectangle, but it was mounted to the ceiling in the dining room. And whenever she wanted to do quilting, they would use a pulley system and lower it down, and then she would do her hand quilting. And then when they were going to have dinner, they would hoist it back up, and it would get up out of the way. So this hoop system, all metal, very solid, is very much akin to that old-fashioned wooden quilting frame. So that's why it's a smaller profile. And then instead of the rollers, we have the big hoop here. Again, it's 5 feet, but it's about 48 quiltable inches, so about 4 feet quilting space. And then you simply lay your backing and your batting and your quilt top over it and use these very fabulous kind of like suction cup clamps here to roll it over, and you're clamping it down very firmly. So again, you can choose to use your artistic tack spray and spray all of your layers, particularly your backing and your batting. You could spray baste those together and then lay them over your hoop. And then, you know, clamp it all down, and you clamp it here across the back bar. And then I just have my quilt top here just floating separate. So I quilt as much as I can within this dimension. Again, it's about 4 feet by 13 inches. I quilt all the way to the end, and then I would advance my quilt, unclamp everything, and roll it up on this back bar here. If my quilt is bigger than the actual frame, so if I want to do a queen-size quilt or a king-size quilt, whichever, or tons and tons of yardage, I only have a little bit of fabric out here, but again, your whole big quilt would then just fall off to one side. So you quilt as much as you can, and then if you needed to move your quilt over to continue quilting the other side, you just, again, unclamp everything, move everything over, clamp it all back, and there you go. Yes, very simple. Yes, it's really quite cool, and it certainly saves you a lot of time. So I love how it's kind of inspired by kind of old world technology, but they've embraced it and again made it better, made it quicker, much easier to again get your quilting projects done faster and easier. So I think it looks wonderful. As your quilt grows on this big back bar here, they even have these cute little clamps. Now, when I started quilting about 30 years ago, my heroine, Eleanor Burns from Quiltin' Today, she used the bicycle clips. Remember those? I had those metal bicycle clips for around our jeans when we used to ride to school, and we had the bicycle clips to keep our pant legs from getting caught in the chain. So Eleanor said, oh, take your bicycle clamps and clamp up your quilt. Again, these are kind of like those metal bicycle clamps, but they're plastic and they've got a little rubbery grip here. So as your quilt accumulates on this back bar, you can use these to hold it in place. So again, it comes with everything you need to get started. It is a great machine all the way around, but especially if you're interested in long arm quilting, but you're not really sure. Again, you're not really sure about space or a budget for a really big machine, big, fancy, with all the bells and whistles. This is a perfect alternative because you still have a lot of those bells and whistles, but again, in a smaller configuration, more manageable. Yes, absolutely. So to really get you started. Now you'll notice I've got a beautiful touch screen, LCD screen like we have on our QuiltMaker Pro 18. Again, the same push button controls here on the handlebars. These fabulous magnets that everybody loves. So again, we can keep all of our tools up off the quilting frame and out of the way. Same telescoping thread stand, which is great. But here we don't have any rear handlebars. The QuiltMaker Pro 18 comes with the rear handlebars, but QuiltMaker Pro 16, they're an optional accessory if you so choose. We can do paper pantographs on the back of the table, just as we can do with QuiltMaker Pro 18. But with QuiltMaker Pro 16, again, those rear handlebars are an optional accessory, and the laser light, which you would use to follow your rear pantograph, is also an optional accessory. So again, that really keeps the price point down lower. And if you choose to do paper pantographs, then yes, you can buy those accessories and that will help you do your quilting via the paper pantographs. If you have no interest in paper pantographs, then great, you don't have to have those other accessories. You can do all your quilting from the front of the machine, free motion wise, or again with rulers. Now you can also, a question we get asked all the time, can I use the Pro Stitcher Premium computer with the QuiltMaker Pro 16? And the answer is yes, you can. Pro Stitcher I will be featuring at some point in our Janome's Magical Machine Mystery Tour. I will talk about Pro Stitcher. But yes, it will fit on this machine as well. It all comes together in its own little box and retrofitted onto here, no problem. People then also ask, can I take this 16-inch head and put it on that big 12-foot frame? Yes, you can. So now we can mix and match on which head goes on which frame. That's entirely up to you. So it's really amazing. There's a quilting system, a Janome quilting system for everybody. So yes, if you can get in close to see our beautiful touchscreen TV here. Now our frame is fully adjustable in height. To make it even easier, ooh, look at these beautiful casters. I'm going to put these on our frame as well, because currently now it's just sitting on the floor as normal, but casters are another optional accessories, and they are locking casters as well. So they're really good to keep it in place. So if you are fighting for space, or again, you want to move your machine around to make it easier to clean, then yes, you can get the optional casters to make it easier. Now, because you're only quilting on one side of the machine, that's another consideration. You really don't need a whole ton of space. Can you see that so long as I have enough room to extend my carriage all the way back and nothing is going to hit the wall, then that's all I need. I'm maybe about an inch away from the wall. So because I don't have the rear handlebars installed, I don't need a whole ton of room back there. I'm going to be doing my free motion quilting here from the front of the machine. So I can push this machine basically up against the wall to save space. If I then get the optional rear handlebars, then I can move the machine out, and maybe I will put this side of the machine against the wall on this side. So then I'm at the back doing the paper pantographs. I only need to walk around, in this case, the machine, on one side. So the one side could go up against the wall too. I only need like maybe 2 feet in order to walk around to the back. So again, you really don't have to have a whole ton of room in order to make it work.
Yeah, and if you have those casters, it makes it so easy to move it around.
Oh, absolutely. The casters are a dream. So that's why I'm going to put them on here. So back to our beautiful touchscreen here. All your controls are on your fingertips. So just like our QuiltMaker Pro 18, I've got the regulated mode or manual mode. So I can adjust my stitch length. So if I want to do a basting stitch, for example, I can adjust it on our touchscreen here, or I could use the controls here on the handlebars. So if I want to do a long basting stitch, for example, in order to make a line, a nice straight line that I'm going to put through my batting and my backing, and then I'm going to do this big long basting line, and then I would then line up my quilt top with that line so I know it's perfectly straight and perfectly even. And
I wanted to know if you're standing when you quilt with this.
Yes, I am currently wearing my beautiful Instagram jeans, but you know, because this table will be adjustable, it will rise a little bit higher, then yes, you could totally tuck a stool under here. Because of this cantilevered hoop system, that it's wonderful that we really could put a stool in. Like, I've got so much room for my knees, so I could sit with a stool and do some, you know, micro stippling and really intricate work, you know, around applique, for example. So again, you could adapt it to sit on a stool as well. Oh, perfect timing then. So I'm going to remove these clamps, because then I'm also going to demo. When you want to do that beautiful straight line of basting, you can use the optional channel locks. And again, there's always more. With Janome, there's always more. You know, it comes with so many things, but there's more. So yes, the drawer, this is, I showed for our QuiltMaker Pro 18, you know, comes in 4-foot sections. So there's a 4-foot drawer for those machines. This, since the frame is 5 feet, we have a 5-foot drawer. So I've got lots of room here for all my fabulous yarn couching that I love to do. And then, yes, there is a ruler base for our QuiltMaker Pro 16. So the acrylic ruler base slides onto the machine and again gives you more surface area to use your rulers. So I can fit all my accessories, all my tools, my extra needles, all my fabulous accessory pressure feet, which I'll show you in just a minute. All of that can go in the drawer underneath, and you can choose to mount the drawer to open from the back or from the front. Since I knew this machine pretty much at the office here at the Sewing and Learning Center is going to be up against this wall the majority of the time, that's why I chose to open it from the front. But you can choose that. So yes, a great optional accessory, these cute little channel locks. And actually, if you want to bring the camera closer, or if you can zoom in, because these channel locks allow you to sew in a straight line. So if I want to do that basting line of stitching in order to line up my quilt top so it's nice and straight, I can use these channel locks vertically or horizontally. So I hope you can see the wheel. So when I want to go horizontally, so across, let's say, that basting line to get my quilt nice and square, I'm going to take my little channel lock and put it over the wheel that's on the machine head. So that's going to lock it from going forward. It's not going to, the machine head isn't going to go vertically. I can only move, whoops, and it popped off. I can only move, my carriage is riding on this black track down here. So I can only move my carriage horizontally. I can't move my machine head front or back. But if I wanted to do a vertical line of stitching all nice and straight, you know, matchstick quilting very close together, I can take my channel lock and put it on the wheel of the carriage, which is down here. So that's going to lock the carriage from moving. So now I can just move the machine head front and back. So it's a very cool system. Comes in a little package of 2. Again, all the accessories are available from your Janome dealer. But it allows you, again, whatever kind of quilting you want to do, some of the accessories then will allow you to achieve that. So I'm going to tuck this all back into place. And again, these clamps are wonderful. They're so nice and strong. You can still pull them off, you know, easily, but they're firmly in place. So that's great. Now, just like with our QuiltMaker Pro 18, we have our 2 modes of stitching. We've got regulated and we've got manual. So in regulated mode, this is 1,800 stitches per minute. The Quilt Maker Pro 16 is 1,800 stitches per minute. So there is a big, long, like basting stitch, but then I can either touch the screen to adjust my stitches, or I can use the controls on my handlebar. So again, nice and easy. So 1,800 stitches per minute. Now again, people say, oh, can you outrun the stitch regulator? Well, yes, technically you can. That's that little chime you may be hearing. So yes, you may want to slow down your quilting a little bit, but again, look how beautiful those stitches are. Or I can switch into manual mode, and this means you are the stitch regulator. So to me, oh, that's going a little too slow. I find most of the time people need to rev their machine motor higher, but move their hands slower. So again, I can use the controls on our handlebar, or I could touch the screen to rev up the motor to match the movements of my hands. So we call this, finding your sweet spot. So as I go along, and then you can see I'm only using one hand. I don't have a death grip on this machine at all. It moves so easily. It's so fun. And as I see that I'm moving my motor faster and my hands in a consistent speed, then I see, oh, my stitches are definitely looking smaller, more uniform. So again, you can play around with it. The nice thing is, once you find, oh, that sweet spot, we even have some presets that you can just touch the button and it will record that those settings. So then you can go back and hit those settings again. So there's lots of customization. We even have a button here to program, do you want your needle to stop in the up position, or do you want your needle to stop in the down position, just like in a lot of our Janome domestic sewing machines. So again, these controls are not difficult at all. It's not a big leap to go from any of our Janome machines up to a Janome longarm. It's that same ease of use, that same intuitive, push button control at your fingertips. It's really quite cool. There's even a in the tools function, there's even, it will record the life of your machine, the stitches, however long, you're stitching along, it'll record your stitches there. But in the, tools here, there is an alarm. So again, if you're getting ready for dinner and you're waiting for other people to get ready, okay, you've got 20 minutes to quilt. Great. I'm going to go down and hit my timer, and then I'm going to go down and quilt whatever I want to do. I'm going to go back to regulator so it's faster. So I do all my quilting, and then after that 20 minutes, the alarm is going to sound. And you can see it's still counting down, so then it will still count down. And then again, after 20 minutes, the alarm will sound, and okay, stop quilting, you gotta go. So it's really quite fun of the tools that are built into the machine. So to really let you have some fun. Now I want to show you the fabulous accessories. Okay, maybe I'll jump this way. Because, yes, I'm using our beautiful Madeira Aero quilt thread, as I did the other week. I absolutely love this thread. It comes in a myriad of colors. Again, check with your Janome dealer. But fabulous, good quality thread. Again, we have so little breakage with this thread. It's wonderful. This little cute thread tension book I forgot to show 2 weeks ago, but this is, again, available from your dealer. It's so adorable. There's even a little strip of Velcro on the back, sticky Velcro, that you could stick it to the side of your machine. But it's this cute little thread journal, because then they give you some already presets, suggestions on various threads, and the suggestion of what you set your tensions at, and how you thread up your machine. But then you can write in what project it is, what materials you're using, what type of batting you're using, what type of thread you're using. You can record all of that down here. So if later you want to go back and do that same kind of quilting with that same thread, and you wonder, oh, how did I thread it then? What kind of batting did I use for that quilt? Then you can record it all here. So that's very cute. it's definitely helpful to stay organized. All the beautiful accessory presser feet that I showed for our QuiltMaker Pro 18 episode, like our glide foot and our couching feet that I had demoed for QuiltMaker Pro 18. You can go back and review that again on the Janome HQ YouTube channel. So to see the couching feet in action, again, the ruler foot. So I can attach the ruler foot and use our fabulous So Comfortable, Janome So Comfortable rulers. Not only straight rulers, but we have rulers in every shape, like this cute multi-clamshell. So again, you can do lots of kinds of quilting with all the various accessories. But all of those feet and the rulers that will work on the QuiltMaker Pro 18 will work on the QuiltMaker Pro 16. So that's really good. And then the same type of nice big bobbin winder that comes with QuiltMaker Pro 18 that has a stop-start button and has a speed control is also available with the QuiltMaker Pro 16. So everything you need to get quilting right out of the box, other than fabric, chances are you have some. Other than fabric and batting, chances are you have some, or at least you know where to find some. But other than that, you're good to go. Again, the QuiltMaker Pro 16 uses those same big M-class bobbins that QuiltMaker Pro 18 does. And then there are some pre-wounds also in the M size as well. So again, check with your Janome dealer. Or again, I love having the bobbin winder. I end up just winding my own. And this time I made sure my bobbin was full before I started this presentation. If you were with me the other week to see me on the QuiltMaker Pro 18, I ran out of 2 bobbins while I was quilting because they're so big, you just kind of forget. You always assume there's going to be tons of threads on it. So it's nice and handy to be able to wind your own. A little bit, there's full instructions, but a little bit of oil is really all you need. That and a brush to clean out your bobbin area. And that's really all kind of the maintenance there is. These cute little oil spouts you can get from your Janome dealer as well. They've got that nice telescoping head, so then you can get the oil where you need it. But all of the instructions are included in your QuiltMaker Pro 16. So very simple to do. And as I mentioned the other week, you can go to Janome America's YouTube channel. And Kelly McKenzie, the fabulous Kelly, did I think she's done 13 videos on the QuiltMaker Pro 16. So she goes over how to load your frame, how to use the various accessory feet, how to adjust your tensions, the whole bit. Now, coming up, again, I keep saying very soon, but in like the next 2 weeks, I will be ready to start my classes finally here from the Sewing and Learning Center. I will be doing online classes in the beginning, and I will be doing some online classes on QuiltMaker Pro 18 and QuiltMaker Pro 16. So be sure to write me at classes at janome-canada.com and be put on that list. And then again, in the next week or 2, those classes will be ready to go live. So we'll be doing lots with our long arm quilting. Now, a foot, I thought, how are we doing time-wise?
1:30.
Oh, okay, fantastic. I'll just hurry and do this with our fabulous, square feet. Oh. These feet, I believe, debuted at our Janome Institute. Was the first time I saw them last August. But it is great because we've got 2 different sizes. Maybe I'll put them down here to see. One is 1/2 inch. From the center of the foot to the outside edge is 1/2 inch, or this one is 1/4 inch. A nice square foot, which I thought were so cool. So what I'm going to do with this, sorry, I'm all wrapped up in my cord. So what I'm going to do with this is quickly change out. Again, I love having these magnets so I can easily switch out my hopping foot here. And as I demoed the other week, in order to change out our feet, a lot of the times we just need to grip the bar that our hopping foot is on and then raise it up a little bit, and that'll cause the foot to just drop right off. First, I have to, cut my threads. And actually my thread just wrapped around my needle. So let me quickly do this. Very easy to do. Your extra needles, extra bobbins, extra bobbin cases, everything you can get from your Janome dealer. Sorry, my thread just wrapped around again. Of course, the pressure of, live. Yes. But I know that happens to everybody at home every once in a while, too. The twist of the thread causes it to twist around the needle. So, yes, I'm going to take my clear foot here and just put it on very easily. And what I'm going to do is something very fun and very time-saving that you can do so much with your long arm. So I am going to just tighten this up. Beautiful. Take my other foot out of the way. I don't want to leave anything there. Oh, sorry. I'm a terrible close-up of my ear. I just need to get in my convenient drawer underneath. How about binding while your quilt is on the frame? What? Yes, exactly. What? That's crazy. Yes. Again, you can do so much with your long arm.
I didn't know that.
So let's pretend this whole strip is my whole big length of binding. So what I do when I calculate my binding, I add up the perimeter of my quilt, top and bottom and both sides. I add at least another 12 inches to accommodate the miters and that overlap. So let's say this is my whole big strip of binding to go all the way around my quilt. So I folded it in half because then I'm going to start in the center of my quilt. I'm going to lay the raw edge of my binding up against the edge of my quilt top here. So then I've got binding off to the left and off to the right. And then I'm going to use my square foot. So I have a perfect, consistent 1/4 of an inch seam. So exactly, isn't it amazing? Now, when I was at the Janome Institute in August, again, we learned to, we educators learn from each other as much as we do also learning from you, the public. There's so much we can all learn from each other. So I'm going to stitch along again with my perfect 1/4 of an inch that my square foot allows me. So I'm going to stitch off till I get to my, oh, sure, yes. I'm going to stitch along until I get to, again, it was typically about a 1/4 of an inch from the corner of my quilt. So I'm just going to back off a little bit. So I'm going to fold up my miter in the same way that I do on my domestic machine. I'm going to fold it up like that, and then I'm going to fold it like that. So I have my fold on the top, again, just like I do on my domestic machine. Now bring it back. Now again, all the quilting up here, I'm going to cut all of this off, so that doesn't matter. Now, if you find with your binding, and because you've got some extra bulk here, if you can't just bring your foot on without it, riding up against it, again, you've got a hopping foot here, so you can raise up that hopping foot, so it will go over that thickness of your binding. If you can't, just make it move on its own. But again, so now I'm ready to start, as usual, lining up. And again, I would be all down the side of my quilt. So there would be, and I would continue as far as I can go. And then I would go back to raise up my bobbin thread. So then I would go back to the beginning. I can trim off my threads there. And then again, raise up my bobbin thread just by doing needle up, down, and hold on to those. And again, this is all lined up beautifully. So now I can go and stitch off to the left. I've got that clear square foot, so I know I can go nice and straight. Again, I'm hurrying, so I'm not necessarily so straight, but again, I'm stitching along. And then when I get a 1/4 of an inch, from my corner, I just stitch out of the way. And then I do the same thing. Again, fold it up and then fold it, fold it up and then fold it down. Just as I do, again, on our domestic machine. But this way, we can do, so again, if your hopping foot is going to hit binding. Again, you can just lift up your foot a little bit like that to make it go over. But then, yes, so now I can just stitch down. I know I'm 1/4 of an inch, and now I would stitch down, again, the entire length. And then when I need to advance my quilt, you take your clamps off, roll it all up on this bar, and then you just keep going. You quilt down one side and then quilt another, and then you quilt down one side and quilt another until you get to the bottom. And then you would do the same thing. You would miter one corner, stitch to the middle, go to the right side, do the other corner, stitch to the middle, and then join the ends in however you wish. So again, there's lots of things you can do with your long arm and your fabulous accessory feet.
That's amazing. I didn't know that at all.
And then, of course, you trim it afterward, take it all off the frame, cut it off, or in fact, you could even cut it here off the frame, and then you're ready to just flip your miters as usual and stitch it down either on your domestic machine or by hand, and there you go. So another thing you can do with your fabulous Janome Quilt Maker Pro 16. So I know that was a whirlwind of activity. Oh, I just wanted to make a quick shout out of light since I have my lightsaber light here again. When I mentioned this for, again, our Quilt Maker Pro 18 episode as well, and when I was talking about if you want to sit down at your machine and if you need some more lighting, quilting off to the side, we've got these fabulous daylight. This is the Slimline daylight lamp, again, available from your Janome dealer. So the floor lamp, again, could just sit off to the side as you're doing your quilting. You can adjust it in the intensity, not only, and as well as like the wand. And again, Tanya said it looks like a big lightsaber, so I loved that. Or how about this little guy? I thought this was adorable. Again, also available from Daylight. It's a little clip light. So then I was thinking, oh, what if you clip it onto your handlebars? There is a USB port at the side of your screen here in case your machine ever gets an update. Then you can update it, and then you could plug it in to the USB port, and then there, like, ta-da, you have more lighting. So maybe you need more lighting over your screen, or again, you're doing intricate applique work, and yes, you've got beautiful halo lighting here, but let's say you need more.
If you work on black fabric, you always need more light.
Yes, absolutely. So again, why not get a little daylight lamp, clip it onto your handlebars, and plug it into the USB port that it's included. It's amazing. So there's always an alternative on what you can do to make your quilting faster, easier, more enjoyable, and fun. Isn't it fun? It should be fun. That's what we're trying to do. Yes, we should be making this fun. So there, that in a whirlwind. Oh, again, I could talk forever about all this stuff because it's so fabulous. But thank you everyone for joining me today on another Janome's Magical Machine Mystery Tour. Ooh. And I will see you all next Wednesday at 1 p.m. when we will talk about, which machine? I don't know. It's a mystery. You must tune in. And then again, write me at classes@janome-canada.com to be put on the list for our upcoming online classes. So thank you, everyone. Tanya, if you want to flip around and say goodbye. And lovely. Thank you so much for joining me today, everyone. Have a fabulous day.
Bye.
Bye.